Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 18 Beta 5. iOS 18 Beta 5 released to developers and soon to public beta testers, with iOS 18 Public Beta 3 probably releasing in a day or so. Now this released alongside many other updates with iPadOS 18 Beta 5, watchOS 11 Beta 5, along with visionOS, macOS, TV, and HomePodOS updates as well to the latest beta. Now, if you're on iOS 18.1 Beta 1, you won't have this update as you're on a newer version. You'll have to wait for iOS 18.1 Beta 2, and the only way to get this version is to downgrade with a computer, so we'll have to wait a little time for that. This update was a very large 2.01 gigabytes on my iPhone 15 Pro and was about the same size on all the devices here. It's a pretty large install with some new features, so let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, then General, then About. As you can see, the build number is 22A5326F, and this particular build, like I said, brings some changes, features, and updates, and the first one is a new modem update. If you were having connectivity issues, hopefully this resolves some of those, but that should be updated for most devices on iOS 18 Beta 5. The first new feature we can see has to do with the distraction mode that they've added to Safari. This is really great. If we go to our options here, you'll see it says Highlights. Safari intelligently displays summaries, previews, and suggestions from the web, nearby locations, and more. So we can turn on highlights. We've had that before, but they made that interface update. But now we have Hide Distracting Items. Tap on it, and then we can select anything in the page that we find distracting, tap Hide, and it just immediately vanishes. We can tap on another, hide that as well, or we can cancel it. And it does seem to work on different elements throughout the overall interface, so maybe an advertisement. We can hide it and it goes away. However, they do say it won't guarantee to hide all advertisements, but it's a really great animation, and then you can play all animations or report distraction control issues. So this is a great update. So if you want to hide something specifically on the screen, you can do that. Doesn't seem to matter what the website is, it just works all together, whether it's Apple's website or something else. We'll hide this one again, and you can see that great animation. Another new change they've made, which will make a lot of people happy, has to do with the Photos app. If we go into the Photos app, they've made the change and gotten rid of the carousel. There's a carousel that used to be here. We can see it in the previous version where we could swipe for more. They've completely gotten rid of this and made it a little different. They've also updated Recent Days where they've changed the album, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom, they've changed it to say Customize and Reorder. So if we go into Customize, this looks different as well. Since they've gotten rid of the carousel, you can see they got rid of the options here for that, and then they basically just have our collections here. So Customize and Reorder to hide collections or personalize the view. So they've changed that completely, and I think a lot of people will prefer that, but let me know if you actually like this better, getting rid of that carousel, or you actually prefer it with the carousel. On the home page, they've made some changes. So if we go to edit the home page, they've now added a new option to edit pages. We can quickly get in and edit all of the pages we want to see, or we can still tap the buttons down here. Let's go back out, press and hold, and then tap the buttons here to get to the same place. But now we can edit all of those from the edit option in the upper left, along with widgets and customize. Another change they've made, you may have already noticed, has to do with some specific icons. They've updated the Maps icon and the Find My icon. So before, Maps actually had a little more color, as you can see here. Now with the dark mode version, they've really gotten rid of a lot of that different color there. The same is true with Find My. So on the left, you can see Beta 4. On the right is Beta 5. With the dark mode icon, they've changed the way it looks overall. So it's a little bit different there. They've also changed an option in Wi-Fi. This is a really nice option they've added in the recent versions. If we go into our settings and then we go to our Wi-Fi options, we now have a private Wi-Fi address menu. Before this just said rotate Wi-Fi address. Within this, it now has the option for off, fixed, or rotating. So you can change this however you'd like. It will keep your device a little bit more private if you have that enabled. Within the control center, they've updated some things as well. The first thing has to do with sort of the looks of some of the icons. It's not apparent right away, but they've actually made them more transparent. So you can see here with the low power mode versus the previous one, as well as screen mirroring. They've changed just sort of the overall design of them a little bit. Under sounds, we have a new silent mode icon, and under connectivity, we have an updated cellular data icon. They've also gotten rid of the Bluetooth power toggle. So if we look for that, you'll see the Bluetooth power toggle that we had before, which I thought a lot of people would really appreciate. It looks like it's gone in this update, but it didn't do anything in the previous update. To go along with those new options, if we go to the lock screen and customize some of these icons, they've made some changes here. Again, the Bluetooth power toggle icon is gone, and they've also removed quick notes. So if we go to quick, you'll see there's no option for quick notes under notes or anything like that. It seems to be gone in this update. They've also updated this interface with translucent designs as well with some of them, and they have a new cellular icon as well that matches the one in the control center. So all of those things have been updated with the icons and design. There are a couple splash screens or tips to mention, and one of those has to do with notes. The first time I went into notes, we had this new splash screen that says audio transcripts, math in notes, highlights, and collapsible sections. So that was new, as well as a new pop-up on the notification screen for see what's new in iOS 18. However, if I try to go into the Tips app, go into it, it just sits here and spins. I couldn't get this to load, at least on iOS 18 Beta 5. So it seems to be one of the bugs that is still in here. Speaking of bugs that are still here, if we go to the lock screen and we go to add a new wallpaper, then we scroll down here, you'll see they've actually removed the option for the iPhone 15 Pro wallpaper. That was missing in previous betas. It's still missing in this beta as well for some reason. Back within settings, if we scroll down to Siri, they've actually removed the title from the top of the screen. And also if we go back and forth into here, you'll see it will actually sort of flash up on the display Apple Intelligence and Siri. So again, if we scroll down, it flashes there just for a brief moment and then disappears. That was in previous betas and of course has to go along with Apple Intelligence. One thing that's from Apple Intelligence on iOS 18.1 Beta 1 that I didn't mention in previous videos is maybe we ask Siri a request with the new interface. We'll try here. Let's try again. It is a little buggy. What is 492 divided by 73? Once it gives you the option, you now have the option to copy that directly from Siri here. So you have a new clipboard option. So that's in iOS 18.1 Beta 1. Hopefully we get Beta 2 very soon with that. As far as notable bug fixes or changes in this one, if we go into our messages, and within messages, if we go to the emoji keyboard, it looks like they've reverted this back to what we had before, and even the frequently used and recent emoji actually show up now. So it looks a little bit different, back like what we were used to. It keeps seemingly going back and forth though. Also, one thing it seems to be fixed in this update has to do with updating from previous betas. So if you were on iOS 18 Beta 1 and you were trying to install this, maybe even Beta 2, it seems like it will work now if you're trying to update. Some people were having issues with that before. AirDrop also seems to be improved in this update. So if we go back here, and if I go ahead and AirDrop here, you'll see it airdrops quickly and then shows up right away. So that's something that's been improved, it seems, in this beta. One of the bugs that's also still there has to do with the wallpaper desaturation or dimming bug. And honestly, I haven't noticed too many other bugs so far, at least in using it for the past hour or so. As far as performance, well, it seems to be nice and fast, and benchmarks show that it's improved a little bit. I'll show you that in a moment, but things such as ProMotion seem nice and fast. However, the animations might be slightly slower in this one. So as I swipe back and forth, maybe we'll turn this down, we'll play this song, swipe to the dynamic island. Everything is smooth, but it seems like it might be slightly slower just to sort of give that sense of smoothness. Let me know if you're noticing the same thing. As far as heat, well, I'm happy to report this is nice and cool the entire time I've been using it. I definitely noticed that right away. I was surprised how nice and cool it was. And as far as battery life, well, if we go into settings here and we go over to battery health and charging, this one only has 17 cycles at 100% capacity, and the overall battery life is hard to say at this point, but you'll see it was last charged an hour ago just to 52%. We're down to 37 already, and I used it 1 hour and 38 minutes today. That's checking for updates, installing them, trying to find new updates. And as far as iOS 18 overall, the battery life is getting me through the day, but it will take a few days to measure this, and we'll talk about this in the weekend follow-up. If you're wondering if you should install iOS 18 Beta 5, well, if you're on Beta 4 re-release or you're waiting to install iOS 18 Public Beta 3, definitely I would upgrade if you're already on a previous one. You'll get the improvements, the changes to photos, and you'll have the option to provide feedback as well. To go along with feedback, there doesn't seem to be any new notes yet. If we go into the public-facing release notes, they've still got it set up for beta 4 at the time of filming this video. Hopefully they fix this pretty soon. As far as when to expect iOS 18 beta 6, probably sometime next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Apple's been releasing them on Tuesday, and it seems like we're on a weekly schedule. We can expect 7 or 8 betas total before the final release sometime in mid-September. And then as far as iOS 18.1 beta 2, well, maybe next week, or it could be this week. We really don't know what Apple's planning to do here with this. Hopefully it will be this week, but it might be they're on a bi-weekly schedule with that particular release, as they're not expected to release that until October. We also could get some new iOS 17 release, iOS 17.6.1 or iOS 17.7, but it doesn't seem likely at this point, and there's no hints of it just yet. So maybe we'll get something like that, maybe not. It may not be needed. As far as benchmarks, I did run those initially. Again, keep in mind that this was right after installing it, but it scored 2,827 for single core, 6,640 for multi-core. It's pretty good for iOS 18, but not great compared to iOS 17. So you can see those results here, where it was a little bit better on iOS 17.1, and this was run on this device last October. So that gives you an idea. I do expect this to improve as we get closer to the final version. So that's everything so far in iOS 18 Beta 5. Let me know if you've found any additional features I haven't mentioned just yet, and if I do find a bunch of other features, of course, I'll mention those in the weekend follow-up video. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.